on Friday, a record 22-inch snowstorm hit, bringing Minnesota to a standstill. But they'll be playing football. We'll be back for the opening kickoff. After this word from your local station, you're watching the NFL on CBS.
Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it. It's a base hit. It's a 1-0 10-inning victory.
Last Sunday here in the Metrodome, it was Twins time, Game 7 of the World Series. Today, a snowbound crowd comes to watch the NFL on CBS Sports. The Minnesota Vikings are here, hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hello, everybody. I'm Tim Ryan with Irv Cross here on the Metrodome. A late arriving crowd due to that storm. Everybody loves a quarterback controversy back here early in the season. Wade Wilson was the starter. Rich Gannon is now the boss for Minnesota. Down in Tampa Bay, Irv, they still haven't decided.
We're playing musical quarterbacks. Of course, Vinny Testaverde gets a starting call today, Jim, and last night he told us it really doesn't mean anything for the future. I have to play pretty well today in order to stay in the starting lineup. He's coming back after being out of the lineup a couple of weeks with a fracture to his thumb. We also just learned a few minutes ago that backup quarterback Chris Chandler, who started last week, becomes the inactive emergency quarterback, and the backup for today's game is Jeff Carlson, who was under fire for the first time last week.
Well, the Vikings will receive, Irv, and Steve Christie will kick it off for Tampa Bay to our left in white. It is a sellout crowd in terms of tickets sold here at the Metrodome, but a lot of folks are having difficulty getting in from the suburban areas, icy roads, and blowing snow. Not to mention temperatures about 10 degrees above zero. Darren Nelson returns it to about the 15-yard line. The Vikings will start this game from there. Rich Gannon, the quarterback, making his 5th start since taking over from Wade Wilson out of Delaware. And with him along the offensive front, Zimmerman, McDaniel, Loudermilk, Brian Habib, Tim Irwin, and Steve Jordan. Alfred Anderson and Herschel Walker when they have the two-back set. Chris Carter and Hassan Jones. Anthony Carter is dressed but is not expected to see action today. He's bothered by a knee injury and suffered a concussion in last week's game as well. On first down, Walker for a couple. The Bucs string it out, and the first man there, Broderick Thomas, who's having a sensational third year here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs defensively, Dexter Manley starting for the injured Ray Seals at left defensive end, Newton Davis and McCants. Linebacking core is Kevin Murphy on the left, Jesse Solomon, a former Viking, in the middle, and Thomas. Reynolds and Carl Carter are the corners. Marty Carter and Tony Covington, a pair of rookies, have taken over at safety. Floyd Peters is the boss of that defense. He was here a year ago in the same role. Herschel Walker driven back at the line of scrimmage. There'll be little, if any, gain, and will leave 3rd and long for the Vikes. Floyd Peters downplaying, Irv, the fact that he's here for the first time against his old teammates and his old coaching mates.
Now, you might think that this is just another football game. It really isn't for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and particularly that man right there, Floyd Peters, who's with Minnesota for a number of years as the overall defensive coordinator. Has done an excellent job here. He's just the guru of defensive football, but you can see the sparks beginning to fly down there. The Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense is playing pretty well this year. Tim feels they can match up very well head-to-head against the Viking defense and do as well as they can.
Saw some interesting numbers there supporting that view, and they're 8th overall in the entire National Football League defensively, despite their 1-7 record. And that pass from Gannon in between the two receivers, Hassan Jones and Leo Lewis. Broderick Thomas had the rush on Gannon and a miscue there on the route, evidently, so Minnesota will punt. Newsom comes on to punt, and last week, 3 of his 7 punts against Phoenix landed inside the 5. He was spiking them into the natural grass down there. He leads the NFL with an average of 46.3. And he hits a dandy here on his opening try, driving back Drury to the 30-yard line. Good open field tackle by number 46, Alfred Anderson of the Vikings, but pretty good field position for the Tampa Bay Bucs. And Vinny Testaverde returning to the lineup. This is his 6th start. He's finished only 2 of them, having left because of injuries in the others, and has not been in action as a starter since October 6th. Paul Gruber, John Bruin, Tony Mayberry, Ian Beckles, Rob Taylor has returned to right tackle ahead of the rookie Charles McCray, their #1 pick. Reggie Cobb will divide time with Gary Anderson at the halfback. Robert Wilson is the fullback. And Cobb on first down has running room out the right side for a gain of 6 yards. Stopped by Joey Browner and Carl Lee.
Really a funny tempo to this game, Tim. The Vikings in their offensive drive seem kind of lackluster, but now their defense has to pick up the tempo. But I do know that Tampa Bay coming into this game felt they could run to the right side of their offensive line. That's one reason why Rob Taylor's in there, and he'll be working against John Randall, number 93, most of the day.
Well, they run there, especially with Ron Hall lined up on the right side at tight end. I know you've got more to say about his play. 2nd and 4. Cobb again. Same play and a lot of room. First down to the 41-yard line of Minnesota, tripped up by Felix Wright. There's Wright, number 22, in the secondary. A 13-yard gain defensively for the Vikings across the front. Randall, Clark, Henry Thomas, and Chris Dolman. And the linebackers, Ivan Caesar for the injured Jimmy Williams, inactive today. Barry and Merriweather. And the secondary of Carl Lee, Audrey McMillan starting again for the injured Reggie Rutland. Although Rutland is expected to see action today. He's been out with a hamstring pull the last couple of weeks. Cobb again, this time inside the guard and shredding the Vikings in the middle here on this opening series on the ground.
Here's a guy I'd like to get going early on. Cobb is basically a power-type runner, and a good inside runner for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hasn't quite been able to get on stride this year because he had a problem with a shoulder problem. He has a shoulder contusion right now. He's going to play with that little bump, but when this guy gets rolling inside, he can be quite effective.
Reggie Cobb, the second-year man out of Tennessee, and Richard Williamson, the much-beleaguered head coach in his second year since taking over from Ray Perkins a year ago. Cobb tripped up at the line of scrimmage this time by Henry Thomas, the tackle, but diving forward just short of the first down. It'll leave 3rd and about a yard. Thomas on that front 4. And the Bucs need this one. As you can see, it's not been a strength.
Well, it's been a problem, Tim, because they've been coming up with 3rd and long situations, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, when they had to throw the ball, and of course the quarterbacks were getting sacked. In this game, they want to have 3rd and short. They had that right now about 3rd and 2. They have a better chance of making that.
Well, they've gone to the 4 wideouts in the shotgun, so we'll see whether they pass or run, and now Testaverde decides he doesn't like the defensive alignment against that formation and takes a timeout. So we'll be back at the Metrodome here in the first quarter. We're just underway. No score. Testaverde, I don't think he liked that 4 wides. He went over there and talked it over with the coach.
Not at all, Tim. Last night he told us he wanted to have more input in the play calling. He liked to call his own plays if at all possible. In the no-huddle offense, he does that. But when they're in a standard offense, the coaches call all the plays. And he'd like to have more authority there. Let's see what he comes up with. I think he really wanted to bang this out on the ground and try to pick up the first down that way.
Well, he had 3rd and 2 and had 4 wide receivers in. He's still in the shotgun here, but he now has 2 backs. And they'll run it. Gary Anderson. And Anderson will be close. Looks like he's got the first down, but not by much. Randall and Clark made the tackle for the Vikings.
One of the things we talk about a lot, Tim, in terms of feeling a game and having a sense for the game, oftentimes players, and I'm not being critical of coaches calling plays, because everybody throughout the league does it. But it's a different flavor and a feel for a game if a player sense they can run a certain play at a certain time. And quarterbacks like to have that kind of authority. The Testaverde would like to do more of that if at all possible. And I think that might add some of the chemistry you're looking for to the overall offensive thrust.
Well, you know, when you have a good running series like they've had here, it struck me as odd to suddenly go to 4 wides on 3rd and 2 there. But they have a first down at the 33-yard line. 32 make it to Minnesota. Cobb again. Good defensive play. Thomas. Nobody blocked him, and he slashed across with that great quickness he has. Thomas at 275 pounds with great feet.
Nice play by number 97. This is a draw play, Tim. The idea here is to have the defensive line run past it. But Thomas, feeling draw, beats the tackle there, Bruin, a guard Bruin, and makes an outstanding play. Yes, terrific quickness. He's the guy who's filling the shoes of Keith Millard. Now, Bernsey said you can't fill the shoes of Keith Millard, but Thomas is playing very well. We're happy with his play.
Anderson in for Cobb and goes in motion. Testaverde throwing for the first time to the short man, Dossie, too well covered by Carl Lee, the left cornerback. It'll leave 3rd and 12.
The unfortunate thing about this, Tim, is it goes down in the record book as an incomplete pass. But I'm telling you, this is complete right from the beginning. Good protection. Vinny, a little nervous in the pocket, stays in and delivers the ball to Dossie. There's no way he should miss the ball, but he does. He just didn't come up with it.
He wasn't going anywhere, though, even had he caught it. With Lee right on him. 3rd and 12. All right. 3rd and 12, and Testaverde in the shotgun. 4 wide receivers. Drury, and he is just short of the first down. Vikings say that they have the ball. The officials say no, he was down. Play is over. Buccaneer ball. It'll be 4th and about a yard from there.
There are a couple of players in this Buccaneer offense who've shown throughout this losing streak they've gone through, and this is one man right here, Willie Drury. Does a good job coming inside and catching the ball, hanging on after he gets tackled. You can see he's down before the ball comes down. The other guy is the young man who dropped the ball in the previous play, Lawrence Dossie. The coach said these two guys come to play and they give you everything they have on every down, and he's very happy with their overall performance.
Drury playing with a bit of an ankle injury today, 7-year man out of West Virginia. And the Bucs will go for it on 4th and less than a yard. Cobb. Nice spin move. Vikings may have had him stop short. He spun away from Carl Lee, and Tampa Bay has a first down at the 20.
Big problem here for the Viking defense, Tim. Ken Clark does a good job penetrating, forcing to play wide, but the man who has to make this play is number 39, Carl Lee. His job is to keep everything inside. Missed tackle, and the Buccaneers come up with a key first down. Good effort. Again, 4th down, you go for it. Why not? We're not going any place. We've lost all these games. We have to do something to spark the football team. That's a big play for them, Tim.
10th play of the opening drive by Tampa Bay. Reggie Cobb has already carried 6 times for 28 yards. Cobb cuts it back to the left side, running behind John Bruin and Paul Gruber. Picks up 3, maybe 4 on the play. So a smart-looking drive by Tampa Bay. The run successful when they began, and they're staying with it here now that they're in the red zone scoring territory. Ray Berry on the tackle.
This is really smart football, Tim, and when your team isn't going well, put it on the ground and bang it out. Look at this. Last week they only ran for 35 yards the entire game. This week they have 33 on their first drive.
Testaverde incomplete, intended for Dossie. And again, good coverage by Lee down there. Dossie really had no chance to catch that ball. Bucs were fortunate that it went harmlessly into the ground.
Everybody talks about that red zone and the problem teams are having getting in the end zone. Of course, the Buccaneers haven't gotten in the end zone much at all this year, but that particular part of the field where you're inside the 20-yard line and teams go into a nickel configuration. That's what the Vikings are in right now. 5 defensive backs are on the field, and they sort of just line up along the goal line. They drop about, you get their depth and line on the goal line, and it's very difficult to get beyond and throwing the ball.
Interception. Felix Wright. So the Vikings fans who have made it through the storm and ice applaud the intercept.
Well, this is what I was talking about. The 6'5" defensive backs, Felix Wright inside as the nickel back. Over the safety man comes in and picks this baby off. Testaverde never saw him.
Joy, and by Miller Lite, it's it, and that's that.
Well, a pretty good look there at what the conditions are outside the Metrodome. Imagine the first weekend of November. Felix Wright intercepting at the 10-yard line of the Vikings, stopping an impressive opening drive by Tampa Bay. Penny is driven back. And it was Dexter Manley putting the hit on him and getting quick support. Former Washington Redskins star. And there's Felix Wright. He is a Plan B free agent from Cleveland, a 4-year starter there. Picked up by the Vikings, became an instant starter here. And I guess he wants to follow Irv Cross in his career, because after the football season, he goes back to Joplin, Missouri, and does high school basketball on the radio, the Joplin Eagles.
Well, he led the league in interceptions in '89 with 9, so this guy knows how to pick them off. I guess he'll be a good play-by-play man, too. Huh?
2nd and 11. Gannon swings it out. The release man, Finney. And Finney is met by William Frizzell in on the nickel defense for the Bucs. And it'll leave 3rd down and about 4 yards. Rick Finney, the 5-year man from Washington, and Floyd Peters signals in the next defense he wants and sends in 2 new backs. Jerry Burns, the guy who fired Peters at the end of last season.
We asked him about that, too, though, Tim. He said, well, look, I don't have anything at all against Floyd Peters. He's a great coach. He did a wonderful job for us. He just felt it was time to make a change in Minnesota, and Peters was the guy he asked to leave. But he has a tremendous amount of respect for him.
3rd down and 3 yards to go. Chris Carter, 1st down, Vikings to their own 40-yard line. Carter had a couple of hot weeks in a row, was shut out last week, and comes up with a 22-yarder here.
Rich Gannon does a great job picking up the blitz here. You'll see number 23 coming to your screen, Marty Carter on a safety blitz. But the Vikings pick it up, and the outlet man is right there, number 80, Chris Carter. This is simply experience. Take a look. Gets the ball quickly away from Carter and getting the ball up where his receiver can catch it. That's a great athletic move and maneuver on Gannon's part. Tremendous instinct.
3 Carters involved in that play. Carl Carter forced Chris out of bounds. Herschel Walker about a yard on 1st down. 2nd and 9, Vikings from their own 41-yard line. The Bears have an early lead on Detroit in windy Chicago today. Houston, Washington, will be tracking that one for you. They're scoreless, and San Francisco at Atlanta should be fun. Buffalo over improving New England by a field goal. And the Jets on top of struggling Green Bay. Cincinnati with an early lead on Cleveland. Bengals still looking for a victory. 2nd down, 8. Play action from Gannon. Hassan Jones can't bring it in. Ricky Reynolds with the coverage, number 29.
Fans are booing, but they really don't have any reason. They might be booing because he missed the ball, but it was a well-thrown ball. But really, Ricky Reynolds did a pretty good job covering. He's the corner here, one-on-one. Is there any contact here? That's what everybody's reacting. I don't think there is. And Hassan Jones simply missed the football. Good coverage by Reynolds.
So 3rd down for the Vikings. Still needing 8. Walker the lone setback. 3 wide receivers. Lewis joining Chris Carter and Hassan Jones. Remember, Anthony Carter in uniform but injured. And Gannon didn't like what he saw on an important early 3rd down play. Calls timeout. 3:52 remaining 1st quarter. We're still scoreless. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross at the Metrodome in snowy Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's Anthony Carter on the sideline, number 81, without his helmet on. And as we mentioned earlier, suffered a concussion in the game last week, but it's really a sprained knee that has him out of action today. He didn't practice all week. 3rd down and 8. Gannon with a new play, presumably, against the change defensively that he was looking at. 2 wides to the right. Good protection for him. Goes to the release man, Walker, and they stop him short. Herschel Walker, gang tackle, led by Kevin Murphy and Ricky Reynolds. And a punting situation. Jesse Solomon getting in on it, the former Viking, who has become a real vocal leader of the Bucs defense in just his first month down there in Tampa Bay. I don't think the Vikings are real thrilled that he's even in a Tampa Bay uniform.
Oh, not at all. They had a deal in their trade agreement with the Dallas Cowboys that he was not to play for an NFC Central football team. So Dallas traded him to New England. New England passed him through the Tampa Bay, and here he is. And the Vikings are really upset about it.
Harry Newsom dropping one inside the 10. Fair catch, and another fine job by the league's leading punter. Drury catching it at the 8-yard line. We'll be right back. This is snowbound Minnesota. 26 inches of snow have fallen since Friday, and people in the outlying areas dealing with unplowed, icy roads coming into the game today. Buccaneers first down at their own 8-yard line. No score. Robert Wilson met by Mike Merriweather, the linebacker, number 57. A gain of a couple for the rookie from Texas A&M.
Tampa Bay's had all kinds of problems moving the football, Tim. You can see why. They have no player among the NFL's top 40 in rushing or receiving. I mean, we looked at the stats and said, well, they have to have somebody there. But believe it, they don't have a player anywhere in their offensive team anywhere near or anywhere within that top 40 rankings. That's pretty sad offensive production.
Al Noga comes in defensively for the Vikings on 2nd and 7. Cobb. Nice running by Cobb out to the 24-yard line. And not only are they running behind Taylor and Ron Hall out that side, but they're also running at the rookie linebacker.
What happens here, though, Tim, is that the action starts this way, and the linebackers will react to it, and Cobb comes in and cuts off of that, and he catches Merriweather in a pursuit. Really a good-looking play. It's no counter-type action. As everything goes away, the linebackers pursue. Now you cut back. Now the key here is to be able to hook the man on the outside. Merriweather gets caught in there, can't make the play, and Cobb comes upfield for a big gain.
First down. And a pickup of about 2 for Reggie Cobb to the 26-yard line. Cobb's been the main man so far here on the ground for the Bucs. 9 carries and 47 yards. Complete turnaround from a week ago in just 2 series for the Bucs. As you pointed out, they had only 35 yards all day against Green Bay.
The Viking defense right now is looking at that Tampa Bay offense and said, we didn't expect to see this today, because they looked at the tape of the Green Bay game, and frankly, Tampa Bay just wasn't a good football team that day. Today, they look pretty impressive running the football.
Testaverde may have changed something up here, or they had a miscue on the call. Cobb again, and another good hold. Felix Wright made the stop.
This is a defense that the Vikings call a bare eagle. And what they want to do is walk number 47, Joey Browner, right up to the line of scrimmage. Now, he's the man who has to make this. You'll see him now. 47 gets blocked. Good lead block there. And here comes Cobb. Number 20 does a pretty good job. Robert Wilson knocking out Browner. And Cobb comes upfield for a nice gain. That defense is designed to stop that type of run. And the Buccaneers went right through it.
First down at their 41-yard line, and a little delay here as they just let the count down to the end of the first quarter. With the score here at the Metrodome, the visiting Tampa Bay Bucs nothing, the Minnesota Vikings nothing. Under snow here in the state of Minnesota, we've just completed the first quarter. There is no score. The Bucs stopping the Vikings on their first drive and then marching impressively down to the 10, where an interception by Felix Wright on Vinny Testaverde blunted that drive, but the Bucs are moving again on the ground. And they've had the ball for 9:43 of the first 15 minutes. Good protection for Testaverde. Wide open Dossie. Dossie stumbles with a first down at the 32-yard line of the Vikings.
This is what happens, Tim, when you have an effective running game. Now, Tampa Bay's had a lot of success running to their offensive right, going towards John Randall and number 53, Ivan Caesar. Now, this time, they faked the run, holds those linebackers. See 50, number Barry, not quite sure if he should go back or forward. It held him just a little bit. And here comes Dossie behind those linebackers. Excellent throw. Excellent protection. Excellent throw. Again, when you have good play pass, good running, your offensive line has a chance to set up and protect your quarterback when you do pass. That's a good-looking play.
Lawrence Dotsie, the rookie from Florida State. 19 catches coming into the game and taking over for the injured Bruce Hill. Reggie Cobb trying the right side again. Hard running, picks up 4 more. Inside the 30. Randall and Merriweather on the stop. Jerry Burns, the head coach of the Vikings. A big win last week after talk of him maybe being on the hot spot. And there's a familiar face to baseball fans. Earlier before the game, Tom Kelly, Twins manager, came out to visit.
Yeah, I saw him down in the field talking to the coaches before the game, and I asked what he was talking about. He said the Twins had donated a baseball bat signed by all their players to a charities auction, Children's Heart Fund here, and it raised $4,600. So there's twin fever here in the Twin Cities.
$4,600 for a Twins bat, huh? How about that? That's terrific. Second down and 7, and this time they stopped the run. Henry Thomas. No gain at all as Reggie Cobb ran into Henry. Henry, I guess he kept his room neat this morning. Yeah. Oh, he tells us that his mom calls him. She calls him about every other day to make sure he's keeping his room neat.
Yeah, here comes number 97, Thomas, really coming from a stand-up position. He was shifting to the right side, left side to the right side, really got caught, but was able to keep going and make the play. But yeah, his mother teases him a lot about that, not calling her. You know, he called her, he hadn't called her for a couple of weeks, and he finally got a hold of her and said, "Oh, is this my son? I didn't know I had a son." He hadn't heard from him.
He's a terrific guy. What a fun guy. Out of the shotgun on 3rd down. Again, good protection. It's tipped and nearly picked off. Felix Wright nearly had a second intercept, and it was Henry Thomas leaping high to get a hand on the pass of Testaverde.
Henry Thomas had a big game last week down in Phoenix, and here he is again having another big day. And the reason for it is he has a chance to move around. Number 97 putting the heat on again. 57 Merriweather holding up the receiver. Does a good job with that. 80 couldn't get out. Wanted to, but couldn't. Now here's the play upfield. Here goes 88. Mark Carrier coming across. He's open, but is tapped inside by the linebacker, and they have to set up for a field goal.
49-yard attempt by Christie is good. 49 yards away, Steve Christie opens the scoring at the Metrodome. And Tampa Bay leads 3-0. 12:34 to go, first half.
Deluxe.
Tim Ryan with Irv Frost here at the Metrodome. A 49-yard field goal by Steve Christie opening the scoring, and you can see Tampa Bay has had the best of it in every department so far. But a great defensive play that forced him to kick the field goal by Henry Thomas.
Henry Thomas has been all over the place. He's playing defensive tackles on the right side and left side. Now this time, he fakes like he's coming as a defensive tackle. There he is right there at 97, playing linebacker. Oh, and they almost come up with the interception. What a day he's having. Henry Thomas is all over the place.
Christie will kick it off. Line shot. He's going to go through the end zone out of play. And so the Vikes will start from their own 20, trailing 3-0. A more relaxed looking Buccaneer team here in this first quarter, early into the second. Christie is 8 of 8 kicking field goals against Minnesota. Well, we have more football ahead. Later today, you'll see the second game of our doubleheader. The New Orleans Saints, they're hot. They lost last week for the first time, and at 7-1, they're going to take on the Rams in Los Angeles. And the Rams struggling along at 3-5, so the Saints trying to stay well atop the Western Division today, but playing on foreign soil. First down, Vikings from the 20-yard line. Play action. Gannon going for it all and overthrows Hassan Jones. Jones with a step on Carl Carter. Carter taking over from Wayne Haddix on the right corner, was picked up on waivers from Cincinnati and played formerly with Phoenix. Haddix bothered by a hamstring injury and a holdout in camp, has just never been able to get back into the starting spot.
Carter had excellent position, though, in Hassan Jones. He really wasn't threatened at all. He played the sideline real well. When Hassan Jones came upfield and broke outside, instead of taking that out move, he sort of just hung right there and waited for him to come up to him and did a good job of covering.
2nd and 10, Vikings. Herschel Walker. Jesse Solomon. Interesting little play there. You can see Solomon, Herb. I know you saw it.
Yeah.
He was telling Dexter Manley, leave me a little room to move in here, and I'll get him. Watch this.
What? Number 92, Dexter Manley. He's trying to get him to move over, get over, because he wants to go in that gap. Now watch this. Manley comes down inside, does a good job collapsing it. Here comes Solomon off Manley's hip and makes the play. But Manley was too wide on the play, but they came out of it okay.
He opened the door for Jesse. Solomon made the play, the former Viking. Lost of a yard.
Manley's still talking about it. What did I do?
3rd and 11. Good protection. Off the hands of Carter. Incomplete. Chris Carter. Ball just a little high. The former Ohio State star. And the Vikings have to punt.
This is what happens, Tim, when you throw on first down. You wonder why teams, you want to establish that running game. You run on first down, you get 2 or 3. Now you have 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8. But if you throw on first down, come up with 2nd and 10. Now, you're obligated. You're locked into 2 passing situations going against nickel defenses. That makes it pretty tough to get first downs.
Newsom pounds another punt, backing up Drury. From the 29. Drury gets to the 38-yard line of the Bucs with a flag down, a 52-yarder from Harry Newsom. Jerry Markwright, the referee, will make the first penalty call of the game. And it's somebody downfield too quickly for the Vikes.
One of the interior linemen went downfield before the ball was kicked, and this is going to be brought back.
Well, Burns.
Illegal man downfield. Number 90, receiving team. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
I think you meant kicking team, didn't he?
Yeah, the kicking team,
Correction,
for sure.
number 91.
And he's also on the kicking team.
That's Greg Mineski. Well, we had no trouble hearing Jerry, that's for sure, inside here in the Metrodome. And Jerry's got good vocal cords. That Jerry not pleased with the play. But one thing he knows, he's got the best punters who can probably just, pop another long one.
Well, yeah, but he had a good kick there, and they were in reasonably good field position to have their defense come in and stop Tampa Bay. But now, these guys have another shot at it. And a 10-yard return puts them inside the 50, and you don't want that.
And another good punt by Newsom. But definitely a gain here for the Bucs as Drury. Loose ball. But he was, well, let's see. It is, yes, Minnesota ball. Drury returning it near midfield and was cartwheeled. The ball came loose, and Ivan Caesar came up with the ball.
Ivan Caesar is playing the linebacker position on the defense today. Has does an excellent job on special teams. Actually, 85 is the first man in there, makes the hit. Brent Novoselsky, and then here comes Caesar for the recovery. Jerry Burns yesterday, talking to his team, said that, listen, guys, we have to knock the pile back. In football, every time there's a ball, a tackle made, there's a pile around the play. We want that pile to go backwards. Caesar helped knock the pile back and came up with a key fumble recovery.
Well, funny how the ball bounces. They had a punt, a dandy, called back by a penalty, and on their second try, they wind up with a football. First down at the 49 of Tampa Bay. Allen. For 2 or 3 yards, Terry Allen, the first-year man from Clemson, drafted as a junior on injured reserve a year ago, getting more time. Thomas and Covington made the tackle. Richard Williamson contemplating that turnover, and there were 8 of them last week.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, and in Green Bay, we turned those 8 turnovers into scores of some fashion, but you see, they didn't score any points. They had 5 interceptions, 3 fumbles lost. They only had 35 yards rushing. When you have that, you just can't win. So Coach Williamson came into this game thinking, let's put the ball on the ground, not have the turnovers, and stay close.
And they've had 2 of them already. 2nd and 8. Flags fly as Rick Finney bowls his way for 3 yards. And apart from those 2 turnovers, the Bucs have played effectively in this first half. They hold a 3-0 lead and have moved the ball well and have played good defense. But 2 turnovers hurting them.
Number 63, offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Kirk Loudermilk, the center, charged with holding. And they move the line of scrimmage back to the 44-yard line of the Vikings. Close games around the league so far. Gannon 3 of 7 passing. We'll have to put it up here. Screen. Allen. First down, Minnesota. Marty Carter steered him out. Nicely timed screen pass to Terry Allen, 21 yards. For an NFL update, let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
All right, Tim, at Soldier Field in Chicago, battle for the top spot in the NFC Central. Eric Kramer for the injured Rodney Peete, 10-yard touchdown pass to Brett Perryman, 7-3 Lions, second quarter, Tim.
Well, Greg, you sure hate to lose a guy who can run that run and shoot as well as Rodney Peete can, but Irv Cross and I have had a feeling that Eric Kramer might just fill the bill. And on first down here, Allen gets 3 or 4 yards. The little we saw of Kramer, and especially in practice at Detroit, and also talking to his teammates, they have a lot of confidence in him.
Well, yeah, he's a confident player. He's had some experience up in Canada, but remember the first time we saw him come into the game when the Lions were playing the Colts, and Pete had to go out for an equipment adjustment, and Kramer came off the bench and bang, hit a touchdown pass right off the bat. This guy, he can move the ball for the Lions.
Second down here for the Vikings, and they've got about 6.5 remaining for first down at the Bucs 32-yard line. Gannon changes it up. Well, delay a game, I guess, on the audible by Gannon. They ran out of clock time.
Delay of game, 5-yard penalty, second down.
So it'll be second down and 11 now. The ball moved out to the 37-yard line.
Tim, I'm going to guess what Gannon might have seen. Peters, traditionally in second and long situations when you're inside the 50-yard line, will run a blitz to knock the opposing team out of field goal range. And I think Gannon sensed that the heat was coming.
And he had his back set up to block, no doubt, Irv. I think you're probably right. Second and 11. Slot left this time. Good protection. Intended for Chris Carter. Off the mark. Carter had a chance there. He was open, but Gannon didn't get the ball to him. Third and 11.
Good. Here's what Gannon saw. When the Buccaneers shifted, they moved the linebacker up here in the line. I think he anticipated some kind of a red dog, and he decided, okay, I'm going to call an audible to get out of it. And, of course, it took him a long time to make a change, and he wound up with a delay of game. So credit the Tampa Bay defense for winning that cat and mouse game.
Chris Carter. Good coverage. Covington, the safety, number 25, tripped him up. Alonzo Hampton, another former Viking, coming in to help out, playing in their nickel package, number 22. Fourth down, and that brings on the field goal kicking unit, Quad Reves, and he is 10 of 11 in this department this year with a long of 49. He had 17 in a row. That was finally broken. This time he's trying from 51 yards away. No good. So the Bucs retain their 3-0 lead and have good field position when we return. One of those tough guys from the 50 and over senior circuit. Actually a star-studded field. And you'll see it at 2 o'clock Eastern next week. First down, Buccaneers. Gary Anderson. And Anderson gets close to 5 on the carry. 3-0 Tampa Bay lead. Tim Ryan and Irv Cross here at the Metrodome in snowbound Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Interesting to see Anderson in the lineup. There's been a lot of discussion down in Tampa Bay about not using him enough. He's a very versatile running back, better on outside runs, though not quite strong enough to run inside, even though he will do it, and is an excellent pass receiver. So he's a very versatile running back. Has good speed.
Anderson again trying to get inside, gets a couple near the 40-yard line. Ken Clark made the tackle. Clark in the spot normally occupied by Keith Millard after the year with a knee injury. And 35 years of age out of Syracuse. Came over as a free agent 2 years ago from the Eagles.
The players here tease him about his age. He's the old man of the defense, you know. He said, yeah, but I was a legend in Philadelphia. They still talk about me there. I've been to Philadelphia recently, and Ken, they still talk about you. That's right.
3rd down. A long 3. Complete. Dotsie, 1st down, Bucs to midfield. Well, this has to be some of the best pass protection the Bucs have shown all season long. 9 yards.
The key, though, Tim, again, is that they've been able to run the football. So when you establish that your offensive line can dominate that line of scrimmage, then you have the versatility to do other things. Play action pass, set up in the pocket, and throw, because now the defensive line doesn't come off quite as quickly, and the offense begins to take charge. So you feel a rhythm developing here for the Tampa Bay offense.
One wonders where it's been the first 8 games. 1st down. Gary Anderson. And Anderson took the shot from Mike Merriweather, and had Merriweather not hit him right there, I think he'd be in the end zone.
He'd have been gone. He has a great explosion, and as I said before, he's a good outside runner. That was a toss play with a tackle. Number 72, Rob Taylor leads us. Watch 72 pull. He's the key man on this one. There he goes. Now what Anderson has to do is settle in off his hip. Rob Taylor gets his block, kick outside. Here comes Beckles inside, seal the hole, and here comes the running back. A well-designed play once again. You know, I don't know where this offense has been, Tim, but right now it looks pretty good.
2nd down and 3. They're at the Viking 45. Anderson this time shut down. Henry Thomas continuing his solid play, and Felix Wright coming up from safety. Thomas with 60 tackles coming into the game. 38 of the solo variety, and he is no question the leader on that defensive line.
Well, Henry Thomas is the guy who penetrates quickly. Here again, just beats the guard in front of him, gets rid of Bruin, and once he does that, comes upfield, finds that ball carrier. But Henry Thomas has just been a tremendous force on this Viking defense all year. He's playing exceptionally well.
3rd down and a long 6. 3 wide to the right. They come to the near side for Anthony, incomplete. And a flag being thrown on Reggie Rutland, number 48. And it could be the receiver.
He had a chance to catch it. Oh, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was landed in the white. He had a chance.
Oh, boy, let's see what they call it on. You know, Rutland, of course, is pointing to the offense. Here goes Terry Anthony. Is there any contact? Whoa, yeah, Anthony pushes off. Anthony pushes off. Now, the question, though, is whether or not Rutland had crowded him and didn't give him an opportunity to make the catch. Now, if Rutland's turning back, looking to the ball with arms waving, he's okay, but let's see what the ruling is here.
Illegal hands to the face.
85. 85 here.
Illegal hands to the face, foul by the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down. The foul occurred before the ball was thrown.
Okay, well, they picked it up early on. There it is right there. There's contact here, and they're saying that Rutland must have hit the receiver in the face. Now, there's nothing here. It was earlier on. It's when he released upfield where the penalty was called, and frankly, I didn't see it. It looked to me as though the offensive guy was pushing off of the defender. Let's see it from the beginning. Now, see if there's contact in the line of scrimmage to the face. I don't know. Well, he takes his hand off. He does punch him in the chest, but I didn't see anything to the face. It's going to be a 5-yard penalty and a 1st down. That's a lousy call. A lousy call. You know, Rutland was in, but he has every right to bump the receiver within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. He didn't hit him in the face. He punched him in the chest. A lousy call. Rutland lost, and he shouldn't have.
1st First down, Bucs, and Testaverde for Drury, interception. Browner. Joey Browner had a pick last week, gets an interception here and brings it to the Vikings 15. The pass intended for Willie Drury. A heavier, somewhat slower Joey Browner's been under some heat for his diminution of play, but he makes another interception here. We'll be right back.
Interception. Joey Browner, a safety here, drops back to the deep half of the field here. And what the Buccaneers are trying to do is hit a deep post pattern behind him. Now, if the ball is thrown deep enough where he can loft it over the safety man's head, you have a chance. But this is a little short. Testaverde didn't quite see Browner coming from the backside, a little short. And Browner picked up his third interception of the year.
Vikings first down. Terry Allen picks up close to 5. Tony Covington tipped him up there. And there's Joey Browner. High-priced safety, all-pro many times, and has set such a high standard of play that, you know, when he has an off year, he's really visible. And I think that's what's happened this year. And most everybody agrees that he may not be in the best physical shape that he's been in.
He's been pretty upset about the criticism, too, though, Tim. He says, well, I've got as many tackles, a big amount of tackles this year. I need more interceptions. Well, he picked off another one today, so I'm sure he'll be happy with that. But you get so accustomed to seeing him play so well, you take a lot for granted.
Herschel Walker, first down on the pass from Gannon to the 33-yard line. 13 yards on the play.
I often wonder how Herschel Walker can see a ball thrown because his helmet is so far down over his eyes. You like to get your helmet above your eyes, but here he is, clanked out as a wide receiver. Making a nice catch. Quick post in there, and Herschel Walker comes up with a key catch.
Herschel having himself a pretty good season. Been hurt with a shoulder injury, but now up to 517 yards rushing.
Well, he's another guy everybody expected a lot of things from him. I opened my big mouth when the Vikings made the trade for him and said, now that the Vikings have Herschel Walker to go to the Super Bowl and win it. They're still trying to get there.
Hassan Jones fumbled the ball, but out of bounds after he had made the successful catch. He'll be just short of the first down. Broderick Thomas put the hit on him at the sideline. And we're at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. It is snowy outside, but indoor football. A 3-0 game. Tampa Bay on a 49-yard field goal by Steve Christie. And once again, Irv, their downfall has been turnovers, or they might be leading this game by more.
Turnovers, but, you know, the Buccaneers defensively, they have a top-flight defense, and they refuse to point the fingers at the offense or anybody else. But the Vikings have to find some way to get the key going. They seemed a little flat to me, Tim. You know, yesterday, Bernsey told his team, look, you know darn well this game is going to be a street fight, and I want you guys ready to go out there and get ready for one, because that's what you're going to. That's the way you have to play in order to beat Tampa Bay. And I think the Vikings are beginning to see that now.
2-minute warning has been reached here at the Metrodome. And the score remains the Tampa Bay Bucs 3, the Vikings nothing.
Losing time in this 2-minute warning, Tim, because in the last 2 minutes of the half, last 5 minutes of the game, the clock starts on the referee's whistle, not at the snap. And Gannon thought it was going to start on the snap. They wound up losing the 10 seconds and didn't get the playoff.
Alfred Anderson dives for the first down for the Vikings out to the 49-yard line. Broderick Thomas made the tackle there. Now the Vikes into the hurry-up. 1:48 and counting down first half.
Tampa Bay counters that with a nickel defense, 6 defensive backs on the field, so they're going to play pass defense.
Ball caught by Leo Lewis, but only about a 3-yard gain. Ricky Reynolds on the tackle, and a second down. Well, now they're marking it a 5-yard pickup. Even the Vikings were surprised. They stepped forward to the new line of scrimmage in their favor. Little flare out for Herschel Walker. Carl Carter, good coverage out there on Walker. You don't want to let that guy loose in open territory. It'll leave third down and 3 for the Vikes at the 45 of Tampa Bay. 1:08 remaining first half. Houston and Washington now tied at 3, and the Niners have a 7-0 lead over Atlanta.
Cleveland took the lead over Cincinnati. I was hoping maybe the Bengals could find the combination to come back with a win today.
You're sympathetic with those winless teams, are you?
Oh, yeah, you know, they're good guys. I hate to see them struggle so much.
3rd down and 3. Walker and has the first down. Stops the clock out of bounds. 1:05 remaining. Keith McCants forced him out, ranging off from defensive end.
Gannon really does a real good job against the blitz. Again, Marty Carter, number 23, was coming in on a safety blitz. His hot man was Herschel Walker, and right away spotted him. Boom, got the ball out there for the first down. But, you know, Gannon, you know, who's a pretty good runner and pretty nifty on his feet, is beginning to let his head do a lot of the control work out here and just picking his defense apart.
Gannon has had only 1 interception in the 4 games he's been the starter. And he goes out to Walker here, and Walker gets 3 more. Again, good Bucs coverage, but the Vikings chip it in out of the 36-yard line of Tampa Bay with 56 seconds remaining. And a timeout on the field. So we'll be back at the Metrodome with the Vikings down by 3. They're across at the Metrodome where the Bucs lead 3-0, but the Vikings have the ball at the Tampa Bay 36-yard line, 56 seconds remaining. 1 timeout left for Minnesota.
It'll be interesting to see how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense responds here. Gannon's worked so far the first half, 11 for 16 for 99 yards, so they're basically short passes. Again, historically, Floyd Peterson calls kind of a blitz in this situation to knock the Vikings out of field goal range, but let's see if he takes that chance with just a few seconds left to go in the half.
Rhett Hall has come in replacing Reuben Davis at tackle on this series. Number 91, a rookie from California. Chris Carter in motion. Gannon gets time off to Carter. And Carter out of bounds.
Oh, come on, give me the stop.
Forced out by Fullington, yet another of the ex-Vikings on the roster of Tampa Bay. 51 seconds left, and they get it to the 30-yard line.
Carter was trying to reach out for that first down marker, and he thought he had it. You could hear him yelling at the official, come on, give me the spot. Now, he was running for the first down marker, but he was pushed out of bounds and leveled off. Watch that. He was hit here. Now, there is, boom, right. He wants that right. He wants it right on the line there, on the 30-yard line, but they moved the ball inside of that. So Minnesota now is 3rd and short.
It was Jesse Solomon who pushed him off the line he wanted to get to the marker. Herschel Walker has the first down and gets to the 25-yard line. A stack of Bucs stack them up. And the time is counting down, 34 seconds left. And Gannon gets the clock stopped by spiking the ball with 29 on the clock. First down, Minnesota. And now it'll be second with the spike at the 26. They're going to put the ball down. Lots of time to make plays here. 29 seconds left.
I asked Bernsey yesterday how he manages his team during situations like this. Now, all the plays are called from the box where the assistant coach is called down to him and he makes a decision on how he wants to handle it. He said, I'll either tell him, I don't tell him what to call. He said, I do tell him you have 1 down, you got 2 plays or 1 play or 2 plays. So if he tells the coach he's got 2 plays, they're thinking, well, let's maybe throw a pass and then get ready for the field goal later. Or if he tells them you got 1 play, they may go ahead and go deep to the end zone. So let's see what kind of instruction Bernsey has given his offensive staff. Got 2 plays.
Intended for Walker. Incomplete. Gannon a little anxious there, seeing the rush coming from the right side. Keith McCants, the defensive end. Remember, he was a linebacker, and so he can run a little bit. And he just ranged off from the end position, did a good job covering on Walker.
Did an excellent job. You know, he likes to mold himself after Chris Dolman. Now, when Floyd Peters went down to Tampa Bay, he took Keith McCants aside and said, look, I want you to watch this videotape of a great defensive end, Chris Dolman, and try to be a Chris Dolman clone. And that's his objective, to be just like Chris Dolman.
And Dolman, of course, was a linebacker also before he became a full-time DE. 3rd down. Gannon running out of time. Gets out of bounds with 18 seconds on the clock. A good defensive effort by the Tampa Bay Bucs, and Broderick Thomas with a word for the opponents.
How did Broderick Thomas miss him? Well, I'll tell you how. He was trying to force a turnover here. Here comes the old hatchet shot. Boom. But Gannon moves the ball. He missed it. Had Gannon kept the ball out there, he would have forced a fumble. That's what he was trying to do. Almost came up with a big play.
Reveiz missed from 51. He has a long of 49 this year. And they're spotting it at the 36-yard line. So a 46-yard attempt. And it is no good. Wide left from Fuad Reveiz. So the Bucs cling to a 3-0 lead here at the Metrodome. 14 seconds remaining, and the Buccaneers will just let it wind up here and take their 3-0 lead into the locker room. They continue to play outstanding defense. They moved the ball well in this first half, but 3 turnovers prevented them from scoring some more than they did. But at the end of the first half, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3, the Minnesota Vikings no score. Been the main story in town, taking over from the glow of the Twins World Series victory. Right now, Vikings fans not too happy about developments in the first half. Vinny Testaverde has had 2 interceptions served in the first half, and we heard Terry Bradshaw speculating maybe that thumb is still bothering him.
No, I don't think it is. He's physically sound. Last night he said he was in good shape. He had a real strong week of practice during the week. I think one of the problems he'll be having today, though, is that he hasn't been in a game in 3 weeks, and game speed is much quicker, much faster than you see in practice, and I think he's going to have to get back in the groove again by just seeing the action in front of him again.
Rich Gannon for the Minnesota Vikings, throwing the ball well in the first half, but no points on the scoreboard to show as results. And while he did throw one deep downfield, it's quite apparent that since he's become the starter, they've tried to keep him in fairly safe passing situations. He's had only 1 interception. And in fact, some anonymous receiver saying that, hey, we've been open and he hasn't been getting the ball to us. But I think there's a feeling that Gannon is improving week by week in his starting role. You can get a sense here of Gannon keeping the ball in the reasonably short range. Yards attempt here figures 5.5. Testaverde, I think perhaps the reason for only 6.2 for Vinny when he has played this year is that strong pass rush against the weak offensive line that has really hurt him.
Yeah, great comparison, Tim. I get Gannon throws a short pass by design. Bernsey here likes the short passing game in Minnesota, but in Tampa, I think that Testaverde is throwing a short pass under pressure, trying to get rid of it in a hurry because he doesn't have time to set up the throw. However, he's had that time today.
Richard Williamson saying he was putting Vinny back in today because he has the most playing experience this year, and he was the starting quarterback last year when the Bucs won both games against Minnesota. And they have the lead here at halftime. Gary Anderson returning the kickoff of Reveiz to the 22-yard line. That's there by Brent Novoselsky, the backup tight end of the Vikes. And Testaverde will bring on the Buccaneer offense. Richard Williamson using that 2-0 sweep under Testaverde as a part of his thinking for today. But I guess the bigger story really was that Chandler, who had been the starter when Testaverde was out, was knocked down to number 3 today. And that may be, speculatively, that some of his comments after being lifted from last week's game may have hurt him in the eyes of the coach. Maybe he's being penalized a little bit today.
Well, you talked to Coach Williamson about Carlson, his eyes brighten up and say, this guy has talent. He's a great athlete.
May have been a false start.
But going back to those 2 wins last year over Minnesota, Tim, they're very important, obviously.
Game. Offense.
Tampa Bay, of course.
5-yard penalty. First down.
Testaverde was the starting quarterback here when they beat Minnesota in overtime last year. And then last year again in Tampa, Testaverde led the team to a victory over Minnesota Vikings. And that was Coach Williamson's first game as a head coach. So I'm sure he remembers that one perhaps more than any other game he's ever played in or coached in. His first game as a head coach, and they wound up knocking off Minnesota down there in Tampa Bay. And Testaverde ran the ball real well that day.
There's Chandler. No hat for him. He can only come in the emergency situation with both quarterbacks ahead of him going down. First and 15, the Viking defense with Browner coming up from the safety position stuffs Cobb. And it'll be a loss on the play of close to 2 yards. Ivan Caesar in there at the bottom of that pile, the rookie linebacker number 53. Tampa Bay moved the ball smartly downfield on their first possession of the game, only to have it intercepted at the Minnesota 10. And you can see the result since then. They've not had too many opportunities, but they had the lead. Sack. Henry Thomas, 7th sack of the season. First Viking sack today.
It looks as though Henry Thomas came from the outside. You can see number 97 inside this time. He has a game going between himself and number 56, Chris Dolan. Dolan's responsible for pulling Thomas's man out of there to allow him to get around. So that's a stunt they play. It's a little game they play where the defensive end pulls the offensive tackle inside, and then the tackle on the inside goes around it. Good play by the defense, and Thomas comes up with a sack.
Third down and very long from the 8. Testaverde got running room. Slides out to the 15. But a punting situation there for Tampa Bay as the Vikings had a good defensive series.
Well, that sack that Thomas made with he and Dolman, the Vikings call that a twist. And the defensive end and defensive tackle have a little game going where they work together against the offensive tackle. And it works nicely to see plays like that sack we saw from Thomas, that he just pops right out of there. And it's really a good-looking defensive play.
Mark Royal's first punt of the game, standing at his goal line. Leo Lewis waits for it at the 41 of Minnesota. And it's a pretty good kick. Lewis backed up to his 38. Works his way to the 44-yard line, a 49-yard punt. Al Chambly, reserve defensive end, made the tackle, number 57. We're at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where the Vikings trail 3-0 here early in the second half of play. Tim Ryan with Irv Cross. And the big news in the last couple of days, a 26-inch snowstorm. However, earlier in the week when it was dry, this was the big story. The Minnesota Twins, world champions of baseball, had a huge parade for them on Thursday before the snow arrived. And the hangovers are still being felt.
That's an understatement, Tim. You know, we
have a personal foul, unnecessary roughness foul on number 26 receiving team, hitting a kicking team member out of bounds on the kick. It's a post-possession foul. It's penalized from the possession spot. 15 yards, first down.
Audrey McMillan, I frankly didn't see that infraction. The ball carrier, Leo Lewis, was out near the hash marks, and apparently McMillan hit a Buccaneer player out of bounds. That's costly penalty.
Yeah. Well, you said 26 white. You meant 26 purple. We understood what you meant. But you know, some of the local television stations are running reruns of the parade that the Twins had earlier in the week. And that's a big story here. Is to keep running them over and over and over again. We still don't believe they won it.
Gannon on first down, intended for the tight end Jordan, off the mark.
But yeah, the danger here, Tim, is that Tampa Bay, who came into this game with a lot of questions about themselves, about their offense particularly, you can see you're beginning to gain some confidence. You know, their defense is the top-flight defense. They can play with anybody. They know that. But now the defense looks across the line of scrimmage and says, wait a minute, you know, they're up 3-0. The offensive guys are doing their job. Just don't blow it for us, guys. Stay tight, and we'll win this thing. And you can feel the momentum seem to swing towards the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Two more backs come in to join Jesse Solomon as the leader of the defense. Fullington and Hampton. Both of them ex-Vikings like Jesse. Walker gets about 5 straight ahead. Met by Ricky Reynolds. It'll leave third down and 5.
Well, that's a group of people right there, Tim. Yeah, we were playing for the Vikings at one time. We're now in Tampa Bay, and I'm sure they came into this game thinking that, well, let's get some revenge here because we'd like to have the Vikings be, you know, let them know they're sorry. They should be sorry in letting us go. That guy in particular, Solomon, has really steamed up in this game.
Run! Run!
Gannon did a good job to get away from that sack opportunity of Tampa Bay. Dexter Manley had a pretty good shot at him, and somehow Gannon popped out of there and then got away from McCants.
Keith McCants and Dexter Manley coming on a very hard pass rush. You see number 52 right there. He's hit now. And really, I don't know how he got out of there. You know, Manley hits him from behind, and McCants puts the pressure on him, gets the ball out of there miraculously. I don't know how he was able to get away from Manley, though.
So Newsom into punt. And he hits another dandy. Drury from the 22. Got some running room. Ball came loose, but out of bounds. And Drury with a fine return. Alfred Anderson, the last man to hit him. So the Bucs with good field position. A 48-yard punt, but a 25-yard return by Drury. Ryan with Irv Cross. There is Coach Williamson of the Tampa Bay Bucs. A 1-7 season for him. He has only 2 victories since taking over from Ray Perkins. And this week, after he pulled Chandler after the game said so much for continuity. I guess the continuity angle didn't mean much. Of course, Chandler expected he should be given a chance to stay in that game, continue as a starting quarterback until things got turned around for the Bucs. But looking for a spark, Williamson put in Jeff Carlson, the third-string quarterback, last week, and today elevated him ahead of Chandler and restarted Vinny Testaverde. There's Jeff Carlson. I thought he looked pretty good for one series at least against Green Bay last week. They're looking at the tape.
Well, he's a pretty good-looking quarterback because he played at Weber State. He said, unfortunately,
Instant replay has respotted the ball. It was fumbled forward and out of bounds. It's respotted on the 45-yard line.
Okay, we got that squared away. But Carlson said, because I went to a small school, people expect me to sit back as a backup quarterback and learn. He said, I'm willing to learn, but I think I can play. I'm ready to go. And he's a pretty impressive-looking athlete.
Yeah, he's behind a Heisman Trophy winner and a guy they traded a #1 for, and he understands that out of Weber State that he's going to have to kind of wait his turn, but he said, just give me the chance. First down from the 45-yard line. Reggie Cobb gets 2 or 3, so the Bucs stay with the running game that was successful in the first half. On their first possession here. 11:32 to go in the third quarter. Houston on top of Washington 6-3 with field goals. And Henry Thomas is down and hurt for the Vikings, and that would be a mighty loss if he's unable to continue. So we'll take this commercial timeout and be back at the Metrodome in a moment. Just made it off under his own power. He's on the bench there with Red Zamberletti, the trainer, and it's a leg injury of some type. And the earlier loss, John Randall, you see he's got a cast on his right hand, and that suffered back early in the second quarter. Thomas Struthers has come in for Thomas, and Al Noga, formerly the starter, has been working for Randall. That pass intended for Cobb out of the backfield, incomplete. The linebacker Berry on the coverage, along with McMillan, the cornerback. It is third down and 8 for Tampa Bay. Drury and Anthony come in at wide receiver, joining Carrier and Dossie. So 4 wides now on the passing down for the Bucs. That's complete for a first down to Terry Anthony. Anthony, the 23-year-old from Florida State, elevated to the roster when Bruce Hill went on injured reserve.
Testaverde's pass is complete to Anthony.
The Buccaneers end up with time here, Tim, because the Vikings go into a 3-man pass rush. So Testaverde has plenty of time to step forward, and make a throw. This ball is thrown before he makes his break. A deep sideline pattern. Come back. Nice reception.
First down at the 40-yard line of the Vikings. Pitch to Cobb. Nice cutback by Cobb. About a 9-yard gain. Felix Wright stopped him there. Cobb saw two defenders with their backs turned to him, so he snuck in behind them.
That was really kind of a strange reaction on Al Noga's part. Number 99, the defensive end was down there trying to turn the play back. He ran upfield, and Cobb just came back inside of him. I think he's got a little cramp problem. He's got a cramp problem, I think, Tim.
Reggie Cobb whipped off the helmet.
Okay, going outside and watch a little flip out here to Cobb, number 34. Now you'll see 99 coming to your picture. Whoops, he's not going to go to the sideline. He's got him back. And here goes Cobb for a nice gain. Good reaction.
November 15th, the Viking players and their families will be at France.
Looks like it might be an ankle problem, not a cramp. But
Signing autographs. For ticket information,
take a look at it again and see if we can find out what the injury is all about. Here's Cobb coming back inside. As he goes down, take a look at the left ankle. Let's see how it looks. Right there. With all the pressure there on his ankle probably caused a little problem there.
Reggie Cobb's best previous performance, 70 yards this season, and he has a 75-yard day already on 12 carries, and it looks like he's all right. He'll have to leave for a play, and that brought Alonzo Highsmith onto the field, number 32, acquired on waivers from Dallas, former University of Miami star, who hasn't had a chance to play for the Bucs as yet.
Tim, he's been a tremendous inspiration, though, to Vinny Testaverde. He's one of the guys when he came into the Tampa Bay camp. Said, look, I know Vinny pretty well. I probably know him better than anybody. Just give this guy a chance to play, and he'll come through for you.
Thomas having his ankle taped. That's a lot of tape for a big foot. Second and a yard. Highsmith and Gary Anderson. So Highsmith replacing Robert Wilson on this play. Anderson behind Highsmith. Merriweather pulls him back, but he has a first down inside the 30 of Minnesota.
Wow, what a job Highsmith did as the lead blocker on that play. Tim, the play is really designed for the back on the side of the hole to be the first blocker through, pick up the lineman seeping through, and he made tremendous contact there, clearing the way for Gary Anderson.
I just told that. First down, 29-yard line. Gary Anderson to the 23-yard line.
Anderson, the ball carrier.
I believe second down and about 3.
Here's the blocker you're talking. Watch number 32, the lead blocker. His job is to, right there. Picks up number 71, Ken Clark. Now remember, Clark's a defensive lineman about 280 pounds, and Highsmith planted his helmet right in his chest and blew him out of there for Anderson to come through for the gain.
Merriweather and Browner made the stop. Highsmith continues to stay in the game and run at the fullback position, blocking for Anderson. Testaverde just gets it away, incomplete. Intended for Carrier. Close coverage from Carl Lee. Third down.
Testaverde was really lucky here. Number 47, Joey Browner, comes in on a safety blitz from the backside. Never really saw him, but he stood in there, made the delivery, and didn't anticipate that blitz at all, but almost came up with a reception here. Very aggressive defensive charge by the Vikings. They have to think it right now. Have to be thinking, let's take the ball away and not let these guys get in here.
4 wide receivers. There it is. Incomplete. Terry Anthony. Oh, my goodness. The youngster smelled that end zone. tried to get in there before he had the ball.
Oh, the one that got away. The ball was just a little bit behind him, but it was a catchable football, Tim. He should have had it. Here he comes in on a post pattern. He cut inside on good position. The ball's delivered. Boy, right on the numbers. Of course, the defensive back might have disrupted things a little bit. Reggie Rutland come through and bumped him, but he thought that was 6. Cannot believe it.
40-yard field goal try for Christie. It's good, but a flag is down. Steve Christie with his second field goal of the day, accounting for all of the points so far, but a flag on the play. Now, if they ran into the kicker.
There is no foul for running into the kicker. He was blocked into the kicker. The field goal is good.
And as you heard from Jerry Markwright, yes, the guy hit him, but he was blocked in by a Buccaneer. So no penalty, and the field goal stands. 6-0, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay with a 6-0 lead on the field goal by Steve Christie from 40 yards away, his second of the day. Darren Nelson from near the goal line. Nelson runs hard out to the 29 of Minnesota. Ricky Reynolds stops him there. Well, after 60 minutes tonight, our primetime programming continues on CBS with Angela Lansbury and Murder, She Wrote. And that's followed by tonight's CBS Sunday movie, The Rape of Dr. Willis, tonight on CBS. First down from the 29-yard line, and the Bucs have had the ball most of the time and have done more with it.
Surprised to see that too, Tim, because we thought that Minnesota had things pretty much in sync after that big win last week in Phoenix.
Terry Allen. Some room to run out the right corner and a first down, Vikings. Ricky Reynolds steered him out, but he got to the 43-yard line after a 14-yard gain. Terry Allen from Clemson, their 9th pick a year ago. Didn't care much about football at all as a youngster. Wanted to be a baseball player.
Yeah, he wanted to be a baseball player and came out of Clemson early at the end of his junior year, had a knee problem there, and he had a coaching change at Clemson, said he had to get out of there. So he came into the pros, had his knee reconstructed, now is a pretty effective back for the Vikings.
Finney gets about 4 before he's driven back. Rick Finney, the 5-year man from Washington, and Tim Newton, yet another ex-Viking, made the stop with help from Jesse Solomon.
One way to determine whether or not a team has an advantage is to watch the offensive line. Which jerseys go back? If the purple jerseys go back, and then, of course, the white jerseys have won. If the white jerseys go back, the purple jerseys have won. And what we're seeing right now is that Tampa Bay seems to be the team pushing the other guys back. So they're dominating the line of scrimmage. And that is part of the problem right now for Minnesota.
Second down and 6. Gannon under pressure. First down by the dangerous running quarterback, Gannon.
Boy, what an amazing run, Tim. It looks like a magician here. Now, last year, when you hit like this and caught, you probably would have caught in the grass, but not so this year. He can still continue to play, so he takes off. Tim Newton couldn't hang on, and there goes Gannon. Don't run out. Ooh, he stepped out of bounds. But in any case, came out with a big play for the Vikings.
Reuben Davis is the injured Buccaneer down at the 40-yard line. He was tied up in that tangle trying to make the play on Gannon behind the line of scrimmage. He'll be back at the Metrodome in a moment.
Reuben Davis right here, number 79, trying to come upfield to contain Gannon. Now watch what happens is he's being pushed past the quarterback. Bang, it's contact there by one of his teammates, and McCants is the one who hit him. He's had a slight injury problem.
So Rhett Hall, number 91, the California rookie, comes in for Reuben Davis. Meanwhile, first down on Gannon's run at the 45 of Tampa Bay. Hassan Jones for 7 yards. To the 37 of Tampa Bay, Carl Carter made the tackle, number 44.
Vikings this time opening up with a play-action pass. Again, faking the run first, trying to freeze those linebackers. There goes Gannon looking upfield deep to the right side and finds Hassan Jones open on this sideline pattern here for an easy catch. Again, his job is to read the coverage and find the open man. Hassan Jones is coming in this year after having suffered a knee problem and is gradually coming back to his old form.
Vikings have Todd Kalis in, giving Brian Habib some relief. At right guard, this is Allen. Terry Allen to the 30-yard line behind the blocking of Kalis and Zimmerman pulling from the left side. Reynolds tripped him up, and it's a first down for the Vikings. Number 69, Todd Kalis, a four-year man out of Arizona State, had been the starter. Habib took that role away from him, but Jerry Burns says, you know, they're about equal. They each have a couple of qualities that differ from each other, and we give them almost equal playing time. Allen now with 31 yards on 5 carries. Good protection. Hassan Jones, first down. Stepped out at the 15. And almost full house here now at the Metrodome. A lot of these folks didn't get here till nearly halftime because of the snow and ice conditions in the area.
The key here, number 69, Kalis, Tim, you're talking about him, pulls out and gives Gannon time to throw. This is a protection that the Vikings will oftentimes use when the off guard is clear. Now here he is, pulls out, picks up the outside man, which is Keith McCants. Does a good job allowing that completion to take place.
Little Statue of Liberty. Touchdown. Flag on the play. A flag down in the Viking backfield. After a nice little gimmick run by Terry Allen on a Statue of Liberty, and it may be called back. Let's see. Jerry Markbright trying to get his technology together.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness on number 52, roughing the quarterback after the pass was thrown. 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
Keith McCants.
Actually, it's not a pass. It's an old Statue of Liberty play. It's a running play all the way. And really, McCants should not have been penalized because of that. The ball's handed off. He has every right to tackle the quarterback. He may be a potential blocker, but he thought it was a running play. That's what he saw. It was not a pass, Jerry. Should not have been assessed a penalty, but the Vikings line up with a touchdown. That's Terry Allen's first NFL touchdown, and I think it has changed the penalty, huh?
No, they're reviewing whether he got into the end zone or not.
Oh, okay.
They can't get involved in that penalty. Replay's not involved in that.
Yeah.
But they are involved in whether he crossed the goal line or not. It appeared to us that he did. Real good second effort from Allen in traffic at about the 2-yard line.
There he goes. Let's see if he crosses the plane of the goal line. He's hit at the 5-yard line. Drives, keeps going, and well, he falls into the end zone by. I can't quite toward the ball. Looks like the ball is well into the end zone.
Well, the knee did come down before he got to the end zone. Where was the ball? Hard to tell from that picture.
Yeah. 21 coming into the end zone. Let's see where the ball is relative to his knee, though. Now, he's well forward. Actually, look at that point. Looks like he's in the end zone with the football. Hard to tell, though. Here it is, another angle. There, see, he's over the plane of the goal line now before his knee hits the ground. He's well in there. But anyway, that's Terry Allen's first NFL touchdown. It winds up being a touchdown. And again, a young man who had a lot of guts coming out of college early. He was a junior with a bad knee. Had his knee scoped in college and came up to the pros. The Vikings had it completely reconstructed, which is a very serious surgery to have taken, and wound up coming back and playing here full time for the Vikings.
Reves for the point after. And it's good. So the Vikings, with their first score, have taken the lead, 7-3. And a little happier Reves, who missed 2 long field goal tries from 51 and 46. Allen said when he was a kid, he played baseball and didn't think football looked like much fun. All those guys running up and down the field hitting each other. He said, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
He didn't really take an interest in it until high school. And, of course, went on to become an outstanding player at Clemson. Here he is in the pros.
Yeah. It's funny. It said it didn't make much sense to me to have guys running around the field jumping on top of each other when he was in high school. I said, well, does it make any sense to you now? He said, oh, yeah, it makes a lot of sense now. I love it.
Get paid.
That's right.
How's Vinny Testaverde doing? Well, 4 of 12 passing for 58 yards, 2 interceptions. So he's not doing so well. On the other hand, the Bucs have run the ball effectively today against Minnesota. Their defense, which has played well all during their 1-7 season to this point, is playing well again. And so even though they've just lost the lead, this is a close contest with still much time remaining. 4:40 left in the third.
We talk about Testaverde's production, Tim. He has to be somewhat disappointed, obviously, in the way things have gone for him. But Coach Williamson said, and Vinny told us himself last night, that they had the best week of practice they've had in some time at Tampa Bay this week, and they really thought they would come into this game today really ready to go.
Testaverde had complained that Williamson stripped the players of their confidence with hasty lineup changes earlier in the season. He was referring particularly to the veteran lineman Rob Taylor and Tom McHale being replaced by rookie Charles McCray and 4-year guard John Bruin. And Reves will be kicking from the 50. Remember the 15-yard penalty assessed against McCann. He kicks it high to Anderson at the 5. Rick Benny drops him at the 9-yard line. So good strategy and good coverage by the Vikings. Well, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS continues with the 49ers at New Orleans. And Steve Young, now the quarterback with the injury to Montana, getting better every week. And Jerry Rice getting back into the thick of things as the 49ers at 4-4 coming into today's action, trying to get themselves back into championship contention. Reggie Cobb. About 2, maybe 3 yards.
You might recall a few plays ago that Cobb had gone out of the game what we thought was an ankle injury, and apparently whatever it was wasn't too serious because he's back here again as the leading ground gainer here today for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Looks okay to me.
2nd and 8. Merriweather. Touchdown. A 2nd and 8 play. Cobb out of the backfield. Bobbled the ball. It was not a perfect pass. And when it bobbled up, Mike Merriweather came up with the tip and took it to the end zone.
Mike Merriweather's made a lot of big plays for the Minnesota Vikings, Tim. As a matter of fact, Mackie Bond is the linebacker coach here for the Vikings, says that Merriweather is the hardest working football player that I've ever been around. I've been in this league for 30 years. And he's on the top of his game.
Reves with a point after. And suddenly, the Vikings take a 14-3 lead.
Take a look at what happened here. Number 57, Mike Merriweather, is a linebacker on this side of the defense. And as the play develops, you'll see that he'll be drawn into this pattern. The ball snapped. You'll see Merriweather's reaction to the play. Well, it's sped up here a little bit. But in any case, the ball's batted up. And here comes Merriweather, responsible for the first back out of the backfield on that side. This guy, as I said before, works very hard during the week. He's a deeply religious young man, and he considers himself a perfectionist. And of course, Testaverde has to be involved in the defense here to try to make the tackle on the interceptor interceptor, and of course, Merriweather winds up in the end zone. Big play.
That's Jeff Carlson, who came in relief of Chris Chandler last week in the losing effort against Green Bay. Didn't have a lot of success, although he had one reasonably impressive drive. Wound up being intercepted down at the Green Bay 10-yard line. He would be the next man in if they elect to sit down Vinny Testaverde, but in a 14-3 game and still a full quarter plus to go, my guess would be Williamson will stay with Testaverde, but now they'll have to start throwing the ball, and they had been running it effectively and wanting to do that.
Yeah, but Tim, that was a batted ball. That was a ball that really could have been caught. The receiver popped it up in the air, and Merriweather wound up with the interception. Again, it winds up as an interception in the record book, but it was the pass was thrown fine.
Anderson deep, will not bring it out. So the Bucs will try from their 14-yard line, from their 20-yard line. And Detroit leading 10-6 now over the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field, and still a tight, low-scoring battle between Houston and Washington. Likewise in Atlanta, just the one score by the 49ers. Buffalo not having an easy time against New England. Oh, Cincinnati. How about that? First down. Cobb cutting it back, breaks the tackle. Good effort for about 4 yards. Ray Berry and Chris Dolman finally stopped him.
You would call this a tough 4-yard run, Tim. Really, it's a great effort on Cobb's part. It really wasn't that well blocked. The defense again penetrates. Now he's hit behind the line of scrimmage, but still continues to keep his feet. Ken Clarkson is the first man who reaches him, and he finally comes off field 4 yards with just a great individual effort.
Second down, long 5. Hard running again by Cobb, and a first down, Tampa Bay. The 33-yard line. So they're staying with their ground game that has been working. 2:43 still to go in the third. 90 yards now for Reggie Cobb on 18 carries. Felix Wright made the tackle from the safety position. About 3 yards over the 35-yard line of Tampa Bay. Merriweather on the stop. Highsmith comes into the lineup, and Robert Wilson goes out.
Jimmy Thomas has returned to the Viking defense, number 97, their top defensive player this year up front. And he went out earlier in the game with an injury problem, but apparently wasn't that severe, so he's back.
Al Noga continues for John Randall at left defensive end. Noga plays quite a bit, especially on the run, and that's what the Bucs have been doing. Felix Wright driving Cobb back right at the line of scrimmage. No gain.
Felix Wright is a free safety, and what the Vikings will oftentimes do is they'll cheat their safeties up at the ball attack. You'll see number 22 coming to the frame on the right side of your picture. Here he comes right now, up in the line of scrimmage, the linebacker. So normally he'd be about 8 to 12 yards deep, but he plays up on the line closely on a play like that, makes a tackle in the backfield.
Third down, long 6, close to 7. Testaverde throws it away as Al Noga was chasing him. Tried to get it up in the general direction of Willie Drury on the sideline, but the Vikings defense is held.
You see what happens now when you try to throw the ball. Tampa Bay has 4 completions, only 49 yards, 3 interceptions, and 4 drop passes today. And a couple of those drop passes tap balls led to interceptions by the Vikings. So Tampa Bay has not had any success at all throwing the football today.
Mark Royal standing at the 20-yard line of Tampa Bay. And a good kick. Leo Lewis takes it at the 26 and gets it to the 31 of Minnesota. The Vikings lead it here late in the third, 14-3. Buccaneers, and Tim Newton, the man to get that one.
Tim Newton, the former Minnesota Viking, is the man who does the damage here. But watch again, he beats the guard, Randy McDaniel, who Coach Burns thinks is the best offensive lineman on his team, and winds up wrapping Gannon, bringing him down for a big sack. That's a pretty tough pass rush. It's simply one-on-one blocking up front. Tim Newton won that battle.
Second down and 15. Gannon screen. Anderson. Alfred Anderson. Not much. Good coverage by the Bucs. Ricky Reynolds, Carl Carter. And we've reached the end of the third quarter with the score. The Minnesota Vikings 14, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 6. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. 14-6 the score, and again, I'm sure some of you looking in particularly in Tampa saying that I had been saying they had only 3 points, and I apologize for that. Of course, 2 Christie field goals, and it'll change the complexion of the game. You're looking at Reuben Davis, a hyperextended knee, and not expected to return. So Brett Hall takes over in the front 4 of the Buccaneers for Davis. Gannon, screen pass again, Darren Nelson. And Nelson gets about 12 yards on the play, but it'll still be short of the first down. Keith McCant made the tackle, bringing up a punting situation. And a little dispute on the field, and it's Jesse Solomon, a vocal performer and an ex-Viking, who is, Irvis said, is really pumped for this particular game. He's played well since he came over there from Dallas via New England. Newsom will hit it from the 33-yard line. And Drury lets it bounce, and Newsom does it again. McMillan downs it at the 4. A flag down. Harry Newsom, like watching a great golfer throw wedges in and make him stop. 53 yards, drops it inside the 5.
Last week against Phoenix, of course, he dropped 3 of them inside the 5, and I talked to him yesterday about how he controls the ball. There's a couple things I try to do. First of all, when I get the ball inside the 5-yard line, I take the nose of the football and turn it up a little bit, because on turf, when it hits, it'll hit and it'll bounce either left or right. See the nose up? Turn the nose up, and when I hit it, when it comes down, it'll bounce either left or right. It will not turn over and go into the end zone. That's exactly what happens here. Just a fabulous kick. When that ball hits the ground, watch the way it bounces. It'll bounce right or left. There it is, bouncing to the left, and the Vikings picking up the recovery. Unfortunately, there's a penalty on the play.
Well, Irv, I didn't hear all of Jerry Markwright's call, but what I did see was the signal, the most common one on a punt, somebody leaving early and spoiling Newsom's punt there. But there apparently was more to it than that, which, frankly, listening to your brilliant commentary, I didn't hear Markwright's call down there. No, yours was more interesting.
I was really into the kick. Newsom
Absolutely.
spent a lot of time with it yesterday showing me how he did it. I was fascinated by it. He can do it again. If given time, he'll drop that ball inside the 5-yard line and kill it down there as he did on the previous kick.
Okay, I got the answer here from our statistician, Dick Bossing. Andre McMillan had stepped out of bounds and then came back in, and he's the guy who downed him. So that was yet another penalty. So Newsom kicks it again, and Drury to the 15. All the way to the 48 48-yard line for number 87, Willie Drury. And Ivan Caesar stopped him there. This guy makes big plays for the Bucs. 47-yard punt, a 35-yard return.
Really a costly penalty on the previous kick where they had the Buccaneers backed up inside the 5-yard line. Drury, I don't know how, again, all the missed tackles occur here, but breaks out of 3 tackles arms, and with his speed comes upfield for a nice gain. Picked up a few blockers as he does it, and all of a sudden the Buccaneers are now in pretty good field position.
At their own 48-yard line. First down. 14-6, Viking lead. And that pass is dropped by Reggie Cobb. For an NFL update, let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
Well, Tim, at the Meadowlands, Mike Tomczak in for the injured Don Mikowski, a 1-yard touchdown pass to Ed West to tie the game at 13-13 with the Jets in the third. Meanwhile, 49ers quarterback Steve Young is out with a strained left knee. Steve Bono is quarterbacking the Niners, and they lead at 7-0 at Atlanta. Tim?
Steve Bono quarterbacking the Niners. It doesn't have the right ring to it, does it?
Well, it should be Sonny and Cher Bono maybe, or something like that. Yeah, but you wonder why scoring is down. All these quarterbacks are going down.
2nd and 10. Gary Anderson got 2 or 3, but it was hit immediately by Felix Wright. Brings up 3rd down. My goodness, Montana and Young, Cunningham and McMahon. You're losing 2 at a time in some of these teams from the quarterback ranks.
It's really amazing. I never really thought, with the defensive coach, the defensive player, I never really thought how much emphasis is put on the quarterback position. We know it's an important spot on the offense and everything, but some of these teams lose their personality completely when their starting quarterbacks go down.
Bradshaw might get back into the league after all.
Yeah, bring Terry back.
3rd down and 6. Nice catch, Carrier, but out of bounds. Mark Carrier going high to make the grab, but unfortunately came down out of bounds. Unfortunately for Tampa Bay, 4th down.
Carrier thought he had a good catch. He did make a fabulous catch, but when he came down out of bounds with it.
Royals into punt. 12:55 to go in the 4th quarter. A 14-6 lead. Minnesota. Lewis fair catch signal, and he is interfered with. Wayne Haddock, number 45. Now, Haddock was not deliberately, I don't believe, trying to take him down, but he just wasn't cautious enough to stay away from him. There's the signal. Watch 45 come into the screen. He's looking at the ball.
What a miraculous catch, though. Leo Lewis concentrating on the ball all the way, comes up with it. Haddock is trying to spot the ball. Oftentimes, when you're the first man down on his punch, check to see where the ball is so you can gauge your speed down to the receiver. But
Interference with the opportunity to make a fair catch. Number 45 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty. First down. Timeout.
So a good punt by Royals. Instead winds up out at the 24.
Is sponsored by Budweiser.
4 Tampa Bay turnovers. They had 8 last week against Green Bay, and they've been costly again. Reggie Cobb has been doing the job on the ground. Mike Merriweather's 22-yard interception return for a touchdown, giving the Vikings a 14-6 lead. Wayne Haddock's talking to one of the officials there. Says, you know, gee, I looked up for the ball, and there was the guy right in front of me. Not my fault. Don't you get a reprieve?
no, not at all. He knows better than that. A guy made the Pro Bowl last year as a defensive back, came in the training camp late this year, and hasn't quite broken into the lineup. He's had a hamstring problem. And Coach Williamson right now, frankly, has been real happy with his play overall this year.
First down at the 24-yard line of Minnesota. Slot right. Terry Allen ran into his blocker, and then he is shut down at the corner. Broderick Thomas waiting for him. along with Rhett Hall. Hall continuing to play for the injured Reuben Davis at right defensive tackle. Hall, a number 7th round pick out of the University of California this year.
The thing that Floyd Peters wants in his defense is good reaction. He's like a speed guy. He wants his lineman who can run. Linebackers and defensive backs with good speed and can run. Red Hall is that kind of a player. Is a very good reaction time, very quick.
Second down, about 9.5. Gannon on play action to Jordan. Jordan, first down. Vikings. Thomas got him as he held on after the hit from Marty Carter, number 23.
Steve Jordan, they call him Scoop around here in Minnesota, the tight end, number 83. We don't see tight ends in as many patterns anymore this year. We'll probably develop that story a little bit. The tight ends today are H-backs and backfield blocking, and that's used for receivers that often. But this guy is an outstanding receiver, excellent blocker. You see he comes up with a key catch there for the Minnesota Vikings.
38 catches coming into the game, tied for the team lead with Chris Carter. First down. Hall stopped Rick Fenny.
That's what I was talking about, Tim. This is what Floyd Peters likes about number 91, Red Hall. He's very quick off the ball. He's like a sprinter in the starting block for a 100-yard dash. He really gets off, boom, with great energy and great explosion. That time, he simply smothered the ball carrier almost as soon as he picked up the ball.
Floyd Peters downplaying, as we said, coming back here to play the Vikings. And Jerry Burns just quite unwilling to discuss his reasons for letting him go at the end of last year. But well-known tension between the two. And Burns unloaded Peters and Bob Schmelker as offensive coordinator. Gannon changed the play and comes up with a pass to Hassan Jones, just short of the first down. Now for another NFL update on that Bears game. Let's go to Greg in New York.
All right, Tim, in Chicago, 22 yards out, Harbaugh for Wendell Davis. Watch the grab in the end zone by Davis. 13-10 Bears, and they're driving on the Lions again in the fourth quarter. Tim?
Well, that Harbaugh, he didn't have the numbers last week. All he did was win the game at the end, which is all Mike Ditka cares about.
He doesn't complete very many, but when he does, they're effective. That's right.
Measurement here, it appears to be just short. Well, maybe not. Yeah, it is, by a little bit.
2 chain links. Well, that's a 2 chain link
right.
measurement there. Where his fingers are right there, right on the... Got 2 chain links there.
So third and a couple of links to go.
Sometimes those links seem like a mile. That's what Burnsy's thinking right now.
Hassan Jones wide left. Carter in the slot. Allen and Finney, the running backs. Allen. Touchdown. .55 yards on third and 2 chain links. And the Vikes widen the lead.
Outstanding play. Simply one-on-one blocking up front, man blocking. It's up to Allen, number 21, to find the crease of the hole in the defense. Now, the thing he has is once he finds daylight, he has the ability to turn his shoulders square to the goal line and sprint. There he goes. 6 for the Vikings. No problem with his reconstructed D there. His second touchdown in the National Football League. 2 in 1 day.
Gervais point after, 76 yards in 5 plays. 21-6, Vikings. So the Vikings now lead it 21-6. We have 9:59 to go. I speculated earlier that Tampa would have to start throwing the ball. Now, I think we'll expect to see it in the air. They're going to have to do it now. Ball dropped by Gary Anderson at the 5, dropped again. Vikings lay claim to it, and the officials agree. Five turnovers. Gary Anderson and Tad Eilers comes up with the ball. Number 24, the Notre Dame rookie for the Minnesota Vikings. Second-year man, pardon me, out of Notre Dame. And Anderson managed to scoop it up once after he dropped it, and then dropped it a second time. Now the Vikings with a chance to close it out here from the 6-yard line, 1st and goal.
Big red. They have a big red formation, Tim, with number 64. Randall McDaniels in the backfield.
Well, they have to take a timeout because they didn't have all of the right personnel on the field. So Gannon calls a timeout. 21-6 Vikes, threatening. Looking at 1-8 here, staring them in the face, barring a miracle here with 9:49 to go. Checking his watch there. That's not a great sign.
No, not at all.
1st and goal. Vikings. Herschel Walker stacked up. Yard at most. Tenacious Buccaneer defense, not surrendering. Roderick Thomas making the hit.
The defense for Tampa Bay, of course, Tim, has been a real bright spot for this team. But the Vikings inside the 5-yard line run something they call a big red offense, where they'll have Randall McDaniel in the backfield, who's normally a guard. They'll go back as a lead blocker. Now they're coming into a different formation, but it looks like they're planning to throw the ball. So Herschel Walker stood out as a wide receiver.
Alshon Jones and Chris Carter to the left. Incomplete, intended for Jones, but a flag down, and Carl Carter as the likely culprit. Number 44.
Carl Carter got himself in an uncompromising position, Tim.
Holding, number 44, defense. Half the distance to the goal and an automatic first down.
When you're playing that corner position and you're close to the sideline, you should line up in a position where you're inside of the receiver, so the receiver has to run through you. Carter got himself in a position where he was doing head up or outside shoulder on Hassan Jones, and when Jones broke inside, he had to go over his back to get there, so he committed the foul. So rule number 1, when you're lined up there, Carter, on the outside, get inside of the receiver.
Winless Bengals still on top of Cleveland. 1st and goal, Minnesota. Touchdown, Jordan. Steve Jordan isolated on Randall, the linebacker, on a Murphy, the linebacker, and was able to waltz into the corner, open for the catch, and that number of catches now for him, 394 in his Viking career, behind only Ahmad Rashad. Gervais with a point after. And the Vikings turning it into a rout. 28-6. 8:58 still to play in the 4th quarter at the Metrodome, and a complete turnaround in the second half there, because the Vikings did not distinguish themselves in the first half and were trailing 3-zip at halftime.
Well, I think the Vikings might have gotten a wake-up call at halftime in the form of Jerry Burns. You know, Jerry Burns has the ability to wake up people. They certainly came out in the second half as a different football team.
Well, they got a lot of help from the self-destruction of the Buccaneers. Last week, 8 turnovers, only 35 yards rushing, giving up 6 sacks.
and they were shut out. They were shut out last week. Now, this week, they haven't improved very much. They have 6 points on the board and 2 field goals, but look at the turnover.
5 of them so far. They have done better protecting, no question, and that's been the big bone of contention all year for them. The offensive line has done a better job, as you point out, because they were rushing well. That helped that department. But on the other hand, they haven't been able to make their passing game pay off when they have thrown the ball. Testaverde, 5 of 17 for only 63 yards.
I felt coming into the game they wouldn't throw the ball more than 20 times. I thought that the passes they threw would be more effective, obviously. And they have a high completion percentage and just keep the ball moving on the ground and throw when you have to keep drives alive. But that strategy hasn't worked for Tampa Bay today.
Vikings rushed for just 21 yards in the first half of play and 109 yards in the second half, and taking advantage of Tampa Bay miscues. Willie Drury is now the deep man instead of Gary Anderson on the kickoff return unit. But Reveille's kickoff goes out of bounds at the 6-yard line. Today is doubleheader day on CBS, and there's a big game lying ahead. The 7-1 New Orleans Saints, with that outstanding linebacking core, will be in Los Angeles. Some question about whether Hebert will be ready to go or not. Still bothered with a sore shoulder, so it'll be either Hebert or Steve Welch.
You just wonder how the Saints will react coming out from a loss last week, Tim, when the Chicago Bears beat them. Here now they go out to Los Angeles. Their team with a great defense, we know that, but it'll be interesting to see how they respond coming back after a loss. I think they're going to be tough as nails.
Rams at 3-5, desperate for victory today, as were the Vikings. Testaverde, good catch by Dossie, the rookie, pulled it down in traffic and has a first down.
Dossie made the catch, but Mike Merriweather is wondering why he didn't get the interception. Number 57, again, having an outstanding day for the Minnesota Vikings. Testaverde looking upfield and finding Dossie, but has to throw the ball over Merriweather's hand and makes a great catch.
Ron Hall, the tight end, for about 8. Hit by Reggie Rutland at the 45-yard line of Minnesota.
Talk about the effectiveness of the tight ends. The Vikings have a great one with Steve Jordan, but this guy, Ron Hall, is rated among the top tight ends in the league, and I even thought that I still believe he is the best tight end in football. Hasn't been that effective in the offense down in Tampa Bay this year with an assortment of injuries, but when he's rolling, he's a load.
2nd and 2, no huddle. Dossie, good running after the catch for the first down to the 35-yard line of Minnesota. And they stay with a no huddle.
This phase of the game, Tim, is where Testaverde thinks he's best. He likes calling his own plays. He can control everything from the line of scrimmage. It gives him a feel for his receivers and running backs in terms of what he should run or throw, when he should run and throw it. He feels very comfortable running a no-huddle offense.
Testaverde dropped the ball running out of bounds. And he was lucky that ball went out of bounds.
Yeah.
Return to the spot of the fumble.
They fumbled the ball at the 30-yard line.
2nd down.
And the ball went out of bounds, but it could well have bounced into the field of play and been yet another serious miscue.
He's really lucky on that bounce. I couldn't tell if it hit his shoulder, his thigh pad, or if it just slipped out of his hand, but they had a break on that one.
Thomas Struthers is getting some time for Ken Clark at defensive tackle now on the left side for the Vikings. He came in to replace Henry Thomas for a few plays earlier in the game. Whistles everywhere, and whether they had a delay there or not, we'll find out from Jerry Markbright.
No delay on the play. We're going to put 5 seconds back on the play clock.
So a little mistiming on the play clock. Testaverde saw that time ticking away a little more quickly and just fired the ball to the ground, but the whistle had already blown. The Bucs still stay with the no huddle here. Brothers, second Viking sack, back to the 41-yard line of Minnesota.
That's that twist we were talking about again. It's Struthers and Dolman this time working together. And I watched number 56, Dolman, grab his man. Of course, he occupies his man one-on-one, and Struthers beats his man one-on-one for the sack. But they change up. Sometimes they'll come straight ahead. Sometimes they'll cross behind one another. That time, Dolman holding up this man, creating a vacuum for Struthers to come through on his.
Minnesota. This is a 40-second timeout.
Minnesota takes a timeout on third down and about 16. (28 to 6) Viking lead. The quarterback huddle down there, along with head coach Richard Williamson. 7:02 to go at the Metrodome. Well, next Saturday, Olympic Winterfest countdown golf tournament. It starts at 2 o'clock Eastern time. We've got time for another NFL Today report. Let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
All right, Tim, in Atlanta, Billy Joe Tolliver caps a 75-yard drive with a 3-yard touchdown pass to Andre Rison. The extra point ties this game at 7, and the feelings between these two teams being what they are, a little conversation after the touchdown. They're tied in the fourth quarter. Tim?
Oh, a little extra stuff there. Yeah, Billy Joe Tolliver in the quarterback. How about that?
Oh, Billy Joe, a kid from Texas. Went to school in Texas, played, of course, for the San Diego Chargers, and a real a fireball. Sam, just this guy plays at a real quick tempo.
We got 2 backups in that game, the Niners and Atlanta. Third down and 16. Testaverde handles a low snap. And he's got Dossie. Dossie met by Joey Browner. There's a collision at the 10-yard line. That Dossie, a 200-pounder, he doesn't run away from anybody.
Boy, I tell you, but Browner doesn't run away from anybody either. When that collision occurred, of course, Browner moves the pile back. That's what Bernsey wants his team to do. But again, Tampa Bay still in a no-huddle offense, continuing to move.
30-yard gain to the Vikings 11. And that's incomplete, intended for Dossie. They throw a flag. Rutland had the coverage. Now, I don't know what you'd call there. I'm curious to see what they call on this one.
I'm going to wait and see myself, because I know that Dossie and Rutland were the 2 involved. You can see number 48, Rutland, for the Minnesota Vikings inside, and Dossie the receiver. Now, a penalty is called. Is it on the offense or defense?
Number 48, defense. First down on the 1-yard line.
Now, you know, I wasn't too sympathetic with your defense of the defensive back on the last one involving Rutland, but this time I'm with you, Irv.
Okay. Rutland was inside, had inside position. The receiver changed his course to come back through Rutland to make the catch. In my view, that's offensive pass interference. Now, Rutland's inside. Now, watch this. Number 48 has established inside position. That's okay. Now, that's Dossie trying to run through him. It's offensive pass interference, not defense.
Ray Berry, the linebacker, number 50, made a terrific tackle on him, and credit to Cobb. He actually managed to get forward a little bit after taking the hit, but he did not get in the end zone.
But Ray Berry's responsibility is to play really basically tackle the tackle, following the lead back here. Here he comes right in the hole and makes contact about really 2 yards deep in the backfield. Watch this effort by Cobb, advancing the ball. Good tackle on Berry's part, but an outstanding effort by Reggie Cobb.
Second and goal. Bucs at the 1. Touchdown, Jesse Anderson. The tight end, number 89, nicely turning around for the pass from Testaverde. And the Buccaneers finally come up with a touchdown to go with 2 field goals.
No huddle offense. Testaverde called every one of those plays, Tim. Here again, rolling out. He has 2 tight ends in the game. Rolling out here, number 89, starting from the tight end position, blocking, steps it out there into the secondary for the catch. Again, the Vikings look like they might have done some kind of a zone defense, didn't pick him up.
Christie with a point after, 65 yards in 8 plays, and the first touchdown by Tampa Bay in 8 quarters. .540 remains in the game here at the Metrodome, and it's now 28-13. Chicago has opened a 10-point lead over the Lions now at Soldier Field. The Lions loss would drop them to 6-3. The Bears would be alone on top of the Central Division at 7-2. Washington and Houston still locked in a tough battle, and that one we showed you, the Tolliver touchdown pass to Risen, they're tied at 7, so that's anybody's game. Buffalo, wow, what a struggle there with the Patriots.
New England has a pretty good defense, Tim. It keeps them close. It makes it competitive. And Green Bay, of course, 3 points over the Jets right now late in the 4th quarter.
Well, Green Bay, they're not going anywhere, but they can hurt the Jets. The Jets are trying to get over 500.
Look who's hanging on for their first win of the year, perhaps. Cincinnati's over Cincinnati right now. Cleveland right now, 23-21.
The mini Vikings there.
The mini Vikings. They want to run outside and get in the snow.
Oh, boy. I hope they put their jackets on. 5 degrees this morning. There's Scott Studwell, former linebacker of the Minnesota Vikings for many, many years, and still works kind of ex officio. Buccaneers line up for an onside kick with 5:40 to go. And it's well caught. There's a flag down. Might have been a Tampa Bay offside. Mike Jones, the reserve tight end, made a good catch and covered the ball for Minnesota. And it may have been a Tampa Bay offside.
Offside, number 36 of the kicking team. Penalty is declined. First down.
That's Robert Hardy, number 36, reserve running back. Let's go back to Greg and get another NFL Today report from New York.
Well, Tim, at Soldier Field in Chicago for the second time today, Jim Harbaugh finds Wendell Davis in the end zone. This one is an 8-yard touchdown pass. And with under 3:45 to play, the Bears are putting a cap on this one. It's 20% in the 4th. Tim?
All right, Greg, 28-13 here. And the Vikings have the ball in the lead. Allen gets about 3. Tripped up by Covington, buried by Solomon and Broderick Thomas. A victory for the Vikings today would get them all even at 5-5. And if they play well, they're against their own division here the next 3.
Well, that's the key, Tim. They have their division opponents coming up in the second half of the season. Most of them coming here, so they have quite a few games at home. For Chicago next week is a real big one for them, and then they go to Green Bay and have Detroit here and take a break again before they go down to Tampa Bay. So their destiny is in their own hands, as you oftentimes say.
Allen again. He'll be short of the first down, it would appear, but not by much. Brett Hall and Solomon make the tackle. 3rd down and short.
Terry Allen really adds quite a dimension to this Minnesota Vikings offense. He's an explosive player, and that looks like some kind of a blitz. Shoot him down is what it says. Get after him. But number 21, once he sees daylight, has the ability to really explode in the hole. And then you see how animated Floyd Peters is about getting his defense going. Sergeant Rock, he was my roommate in the Pro Bowl one year. What an experience that was.
Craig Wolfley comes in to make an additional lineman on short yardage. Allen appears to have the first down. This time the Bucs didn't let him escape, as they did on 3rd and a couple of inches the last time, and he won 55 for the score.
All right, we now know what that signal was, to shoot the gap. We had everybody, the defensive line coming inside, closing everything down. With Solomon, the middle linebacker, his responsibility was to shoot the gap. Come off tackle and come up in that hole and meet the ball carrier. That's what he did.